Welcome to the Education Corner, a podcast by Education Choices magazine.
Education Corner podcast is thrilled to welcome TASIS England. TASIS England are a part of a family of international schools welcoming students from all over the world to an educational community which aims to foster a passion for excellence along with mutual respect and understanding. Offering the internationally recognised International Baccalaureate and American Advanced Placement, AP qualifications, students from TASIS England leave the school ready academically and personally prepared to succeed in whatever their desired field may be. We're thrilled to welcome you, Matt Keily, Director of Boarding, and Sarah Travis, Senior Associate Director of Student Recruitment and Admissions, both from TASIS England. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your backgrounds and your roles at TASIS England?
Thank you, Chloe, for that lovely introduction. Really appreciate it. And thank you for doing this podcast with us today. As you said, I'm Sarah Travis, a Senior Associate Director of Student Recruitment and Admissions at TASIS England. I started my career in admissions, about 15 years ago in the higher education sector and moved to TASIS England just under 4.5 years ago now. Absolutely fantastic place to work and gives you real challenges in the admissions process from sort of beginning to end, really.
And Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Chloe, for the introduction and for having us on the podcast. My name's Matt Keily. I'm Director of Boarding at TASIS England. I've got 20 years experience working in boarding schools, be that either in state boarding, independent British boarding, or independent international schools. I worked in both the UK and in South Africa, and this is now my 5th year as Director of Boarding at TASIS England.
And could you tell us a little bit more about TASIS England and how its mission shapes everyday life for students and their families, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give you a general overview of TASIS England, we're a co-educational day and boarding school for students aged 3 to 18. We actually start our boarding programme when students are in grade 8, so age 13. We're based very close to Heathrow Airport, so about 15-20 minutes in a car from Heathrow Airport and about 30 minutes by train into central London. So we have everything available on our doorstep, and yet we're lucky enough to have a beautiful 46-acre campus, so lots of green space as well. So yes, that gives a general overview of TASIS. And in terms of our mission, it's very much focused on emboldening each learner to sort of flourish as a principled, open-minded and compassionate member of a global community. So we teach our students very much about being kind, empathetic, respectful, responsible, to make use of all the opportunities that they have available at TASIS so that when they leave us, they can go on to make a real positive contribution to the world, to their families, to their careers.
It sounds wonderful. When do children normally join the school, and are there any assessment or interview processes that parents should be aware of?
We have a rolling admissions process, so students will join us at various times throughout the academic year. So we don't have sort of key entry points as such. And in terms of the admissions process, that is all very much done online. Assessments will depend on sort of the age of the student, whether they're entering lower school, middle school or upper school. Typically, if they are a non-native English speaker, they will do an English test, and then they may do a math and a modern foreign language test as well, which is online, so that we can place them in the right classes.
And Sarah, perhaps you could tell me about the ratios between boarding and day pupils at TASIS. I believe you've already said that boarding only starts in grade 8 and you begin age 3, but obviously there is a large community of day pupils also at school.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, the boarding begins in grade 8 when they're 13. So anyone under 13 will be a day student. We've got about just under 650 students in the school at the moment in total, and over 230 of those are boarding students. So around about a third of our student body. So yes, we're very lucky to be able to sort of combine day and boarding, which is a great advantage for us as an international school, with lots of families sort of moving into the local area, but obviously families living overseas, so their child needs to be a boarder as well.
Do you have a large amount of international students, or is it quite a mix?
Absolutely. I mean, at the current time, we've got 73 different nationalities, so lots and lots of diversity. So it's quite usual for you to look into a classroom at TASIS England where the average class size is 10 in the upper school, but you could look into that classroom and each one of those 10 students would be of a different nationality. So yeah, it's very diverse, both in the day and the boarding population.
And can you, Matt, explain a little bit about the TASIS England boarding programme?
Certainly. So TASIS England, we have 234 boarders currently. That's been steadily growing year on year. And they're split between 9 small boarding houses. Usually there's around 30 students per boarding house, boys' houses and girls' houses. And as Sarah mentioned, we've got over 70 nationalities represented in our boarding community. So it is a very diverse population of students. In each boarding house, we've got great pastoral care. So we have dedicated resident house parents. That's their role in the school. They don't necessarily do anything else. So they have the time to really look after our students well. So we have 2 resident house parents in each house, assisted by a team of 5 house tutors. And then we have what we call boarding support, also offering activities and helping out in things like study hall times as well. The boarders have excellent opportunities in terms of the opportunities they have within school, but also out of school. We have a great trips and activities program. We do a travel week during October whereby our students can go off to places like Iceland, Croatia, Greece. Scotland is a quite popular trip as well. So yeah, we've got a really great boarding program that's been growing year on year, and our students on the whole seem very, very happy.
I'm sure they are. Beyond that, how does it feel, Matt, to have been awarded with the ISA Award for Boarding School of the Year?
You can't see because it's a podcast, but I'm grinning from ear to ear. I was absolutely elated, somewhat gobsmacked, but very, very happy to receive the award on behalf of our boarding community. We went to the award ceremony knowing we were in the final 3 finalists with no expectations. So when we got announced as the winners, we were really, really pleased. For me, it's just a validation of a lot of hard work from a lot of people over the last 5 years. It's great to share the accolade. I got to stand up in assembly in front of the boarders and say, you know, you go to the best boarding school in the country, and they're a large part of that. And as well, my team of staff who work incredibly hard all of the time. It just gave everyone a great lift. It felt like an early Christmas present going into the festive season. So yeah, very, very happy and very proud.
Can you explain for the listeners, for other parents, what do you think separated you from the other schools that were involved in the awards and led to you being selected?
I think without doubt, it was our innovation in creating a wellbeing program for our boarding community. That was the crux of our motivation. I think that's what differentiated us from the rest of the schools, all of whom were obviously very quality, but I think it was the innovation in that area.
Can you give me any examples of the sorts of initiatives that you're running regarding the students' pastoral care and wellbeing?
Year on year, over the years, I've noticed we have very similar problems in schools with students, no matter what kind of school it is, be that state boarding, international, British. You know, these teenagers, regardless of their socioeconomic background or where they are from in the world, they inevitably experience the same kind of issues, be that anxiety at certain times of the year, be that homesickness, problems sleeping, problems with nutrition, all these kind of things keep on coming up over and over again. And we kind of just thought, we've got very good systems in place to help students manage those things after the fact, after they become issues. We wanted to be more proactive about things and develop a wellbeing program whereby we could get to the students early and maybe stop those small problems becoming big problems. And that's when we decided to create a program called Thrive, which is border wellbeing and mentoring. And we piloted it last year. It's a 35-week program for our boarding students. And the idea is that we give them knowledge, practical skills, and one-to-one mentor support to help them manage their own well-being. So not only through their school life, but beyond into university and into later adult life as well. We mix things up once a week with either theoretical sessions based around things like sleep health and what can you do to get a good night's sleep. We also have practical sessions like self-defense classes for our boarders, which were very popular. And we also invited guest speakers on certain topics. For example, we had the nutrition guru come and speak to our boarding community about how to eat healthily in the boarding environment. And we also had a gentleman called Charlie Walker, who talked about resilience. He's an explorer. He walked across Southeast Asia. His story was very interesting. So we tried to give a variety of things to help promote student wellbeing through our Thrive program. I think the key aspect of the program is the one-to-one mentor support. So each child is assigned a mentor, a Thrive mentor, and they'll meet with their mentees once per week. And they'll talk about the kind of issues that we're going through on a weekly basis, be that personal relationships, setting healthy boundaries, the importance of exercise, all that kind of stuff. And they'll talk about it in relation to them specifically. So it's not a small group, it's not a class, it's you. How do these issues affect you? And what can we do to make sure that you're creating good habits moving forward? Part of our program includes well-being tracking as well. So we use a system called Flourish DX, which is a daily well-being tracker. And we asked our boarders to input their well-being on a daily basis. The tracker essentially comes up on their screen and it will ask them to say, how do they feel? Do they feel very happy? Do they feel very sad? Are they somewhere in between? And when they choose which emotion they're feeling that day, they then get the opportunity to attribute that emotion to why they feel like that. So it's split up into personal and school factors. So they might be feeling great because they just got a great test result in school, or they might be feeling very good because they've just been for a run, they've eaten well, they've spoken with their family. They can attribute all these factors into their daily tracker. Now, for a student point of view, that's great because over a period of time, they can see I was actually feeling not very well in September, but steadily towards Christmas, my well-being has got better. And they can see the attributed reasons for that. From a school's point of view, it's invaluable data for us, because whereby we can't see the individual student responses, we can see trends in well-being over a period of time. And if we think we can do that over the course of an academic year, then we can see at this time of year, generally our student body are feeling good. It takes a dip at this time of year, and it gives us reasons as to why that might be. So we can then start thinking about planning interventions at those times of the year when students aren't feeling great about things, and specifically targeting them during those periods. We can go even further than that. We can get quite granular with our analysis, and we can look at specific year groups, specific boarding houses, specific exam groups. So it really is useful data, and it will be incredibly useful as we accumulate more data over a period of years.
Just out of interest, how have students responded to it? Have they found it an invasion of their privacy, or have they responded very, obviously, I mean, having won the award, there must be quite a positive response from the student body?
It's an excellent question. So what we were very conscious of at the start of the program was we didn't want it to be another thing that they had to do. They're already very busy, and we didn't want to kind of have another lesson in the evening, for example. We didn't want it to feel like that. So we kept everything quite bite-sized. And as a result of that, they responded to it very well. I think you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So we can explain why we're doing this, what we think the benefits are. And on the whole, the feedback's been very good. The input into the wellbeing tracker is also very good. We've taken some feedback from them over the course of the year, though. We've kind of evolved a little bit this year. They felt that the structure was a little bit too rigid with the topics that we were offering. And for one child, sleep health might be a real issue. For another child, they might sleep absolutely fine, so they don't feel the need to talk about it with their mentor. So this year, we've kind of made a more choose your own adventure style route with the meetings. We've teamed up with the Student Health Guide, which is an excellent resource, which covers a number of topics across a number of areas. And a student can come into their mentor meeting and say, I'm struggling a little bit with this today, and they can talk about that topic with their mentor. So their mentors aren't experts, but they've got kind of the key points and key knowledge and signposts to various places if that child is struggling with something in particular. We found that's been quite useful this year, and the feedback's been very good. And we're kind of constantly looking to evolve what we do in these sessions based on what the students want, rather than what we think they want.
And that's often how it works best, isn't it? When you're responding to the students as well as the data and kind of working together in their best interest. What do you think, perhaps Sarah, you'd like to answer this, makes TASIS England special?
Oh gosh, I could probably talk about this for hours. I mean, it goes beyond things like the small class sizes, as I mentioned earlier. excellent academic results and fantastic university destinations, the student diversity, obviously the fact that we have sort of personalised schedules. There's all that, which is obviously very advantageous for each and every student. But for me, if I had to choose one thing, it would be the heart of the school, I think. And you sense that from the moment you step onto campus. There's a really sort of positive feeling about the place. The students are enthusiastic, the teachers are enthusiastic. It's just a really nice place to be a student and to be a member of faculty and staff as well.
Matt?
Yes, I agree with what Sarah's saying. It's hard to get past the beauty of the campus. I'm very lucky. I'm sat in my office, I'm looking outside. It's a sunny day. There's light bouncing off the lake onto these kind of tangerine autumn trees. I mean, it's not to be underestimated because this affects well-being as well, being surrounded by this beautiful site. I think in addition to that, I need to mention the food because that makes me very happy. You know, I've worked in a few boarding schools. The food here is very good. Our proximity to London is always a bonus. Our students are very quality people. And just the feel of the place, I still remember when I came for my first interview at TASIS, I had no idea anything about the school. I had no idea about the village of Thorpe. But when I arrived and I set foot on campus, when you know, I've been here ever since and I'll be here for a long time still. It's a great place to be.
Do you want to tell us your favourite meal then?
Oh, it's a flip-up. I'm very fond of macaroni cheese, which is always great. But then again, we do these special meals at this time of year for Thanksgiving, which are just phenomenal. Like they go all out. Brunch is also very good.
Harry Potter style.
Yeah, absolutely. So it takes a bit of effort to try and work it all off, but it's worth it.
What role do faculty and staff play in shaping the boarding experience at TASIS England? And how do they contribute to the school's reputation as an award-winning boarding institution?
I mean, the old adage, it takes a village to raise a child, is absolutely true. We've got 70 dedicated boarding staff, be that via house parents, tutors, mentors, boarding support. But beyond that, equally important, we've got the groundskeepers, the housekeepers, the maintenance team. They all interact with us. They all know the kids. They all do a fantastic job of making sure we're in a very beautiful, clean, safe environment. Security guards as well. They're brilliant. So everyone plays their part and they do that well. And I think as a result, we've got a very proud staff, particularly, when we brought the award back, everyone was just so generous in their praise, but, everyone's responsible for it. So it's a team effort.
It's a community. And final question, really, looking ahead, how does TASIS England plan to build on this recognition and further enhance the boarding experience for students over the coming years?
As with all schools, we have lots of competing priorities. Everyone wants to be great at everything, and everyone wants to market those things, which I understand. For me, that quote that goes, if everything's important, nothing is. So we've been really focusing on well-being as a really priority for us over the past couple of years, and we'll continue to do that. But looking ahead, kind of the next building block for me, for our boarding community, is looking at things like service leadership as an area which we could really focus on, really be innovative in, and see how we can get our students involved in not just the school community service, but beyond that into local, national and international service as well. It already happens to some extent, but it's something I'm quite keen to push forward.
Thank you so much, both of you, for speaking to the Education Corner podcast. And I look forward to hearing about more awards in the future.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
Chloe. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.